In February of 1861, during the early days of the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, Colorado became a U.S. territory. The history of El Paso County begins just a short time later, in November of 1861, when the territorial legislature created the 17 original counties. At the time, Colorado City, now Colorado Springs Old West Side neighborhood, was the most heavily populated area in the county. There were about 200 homes.
The first election that was ever held in El Paso County was all the way back in 1861. We don't have a lot of records from that election, but we know that there was a mill levy question on the ballot that passed. We know from that first election that the maximum mill levy allowed by law at the time was approved, which was $400, and that was used to build a couple of the first bridges in El Paso County.
Responsibilities of the Clerk and Recorder's Office were done a little differently in the early days. It wasn't until 1913 that Colorado began issuing license plates.
You would pay a little bit of a fee, but you would create your own license plate. And so I would imagine that there was a whole hodgepodge of different license plates and everything until the state started issuing their own in 1913.
At the time, the Clerk and Recorder was not in charge of recording things like property sales or who had staked claim to a particular piece of property. That was the responsibility of something called the Claim Club.
Private individuals would go to a private club, pay a small fee, and record their claim to land through them. And from all accounts, from what we can tell, that system worked out pretty well. But I'm certainly glad that we've got the Clerk and Recorder's Office doing that now, so we can ensure that all the laws are upheld and that everyone's protected equally.
One of the early county clerks was Irving Halbert. He worked out of the small Garvin cabin that is still in Bancroft Park today. Very different from today, now more than 150 Clerk and Recorder employees serve El Paso County citizens from 4 offices located throughout the county.
One must remember when Irving Halbert, one of the first county clerk and recorders, came about when the county was first formed. They had very little to do except for perhaps land records and things of that nature. But now the new mandates come down and more expansion of the requirements, so we have a big impact.
Today, the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder oversees 5 different departments: elections, motor vehicle, recording, clerk to the board, and support departments.
We are, I think, the public face of county government. Over 900,000 people visit our offices every year. From over 500,000 visit our offices for motor vehicle transactions, from renewal tags to titles to handicap placards, driver license services. Over 300,000 people a year conduct elections. We conduct elections with, and nearly 100,000 with recording. So we have a tremendous impact.
The 10 employees of the Elections Department uphold Colorado law to administer fair, clean, and efficient elections for federal, state, and most local offices, as well as state and local ballot questions.
Our main function in the election department is to maintain the voter registration rolls. So as people in the county register to vote or update their address, move around, we make those changes in our statewide registration database. In addition to that, we conduct elections. And the largest elections that we conduct, of course, would be the November elections. We have an election every November. In addition to that, we conduct the primary elections, which are now held in June. And then we conduct various recall elections whenever that occurs throughout the county. And we provide support to local jurisdictions when they're conducting their own elections. And that support can stem from as little as just providing them the voter registration list so they know who their eligible electors are, to conducting their election judges training, helping them send out their ballots, whatever type of support and whatever level of support that they need.
And we're constantly reviewing our processes to make them better than the time before. Our equipment, we do pre-audits before the election, and then we do an audit afterwards to ensure that they're counting accurately. All our equipment and our ballot processing areas and tabulation areas under 24 hours, 7 days a week video surveillance. Our rooms are access controlled. Our equipment has got seals on it that prevents and detects any type of tampering. We want to make sure our processes are transparent. So we openly offer our offices and have people come in from various watchdog groups to look at our process and to offer suggestions. So it starts from our staff to our processes to also our methodology in which we process those ballots and tabulate them so that we get a fair, accurate, and transparent process for citizens of El Paso County.
All of our elections conducted in the state of Colorado are mail ballot elections. That all changed in 2013 with the passage of House Bill 1303. And so we went from the typical polling place election, the type of elections where you have 3 options for voting. You could early vote, you could request a mail ballot, or you could go into your polling location and vote. And now they're all conducted by mail. But we do still have the option for voters to come into one of our voter service and polling centers and cast their ballot in person if they choose to do that.
In the motor vehicle department, there are 77 full-time employees and 38 part-time employees, serving nearly 500,000 customers each year.
The motor vehicle department within the clerk and recorder's office is responsible for titling and registration of vehicles for our El Paso County citizens. We are also responsible for collecting taxes and fees as is established by the state of Colorado. And clearly our citizens also have an opportunity in our 4 offices to renew their driver's licenses and ID cards.
And the offices are always busy.
In 2013, we served 498,066 people. It is a lot of people, keeping in mind that some of them might be repeat customers because they're coming in to register possibly 2 or 3 vehicles at different times in a year. But that's how many transactions we conducted in 2013.
There are currently 4 offices with plans to open a 5th on Fort Carson.
The southern portion of our county is somewhat underserved. People in the southern part of the county typically go to the Powers and Airport office, which is on any given day is the #1 or #2 busiest office in the state, or they visit our Centennial Hall office, which is the smallest of our 4 offices. So having that office open will better serve our citizens in the south part of the community, service our men and women that are stationed down at Fort Carson a lot better. So we see that taking load and volume off our busiest office, which happens to be the busiest in the state, and also our smallest office.
In the recording department, 12 employees manage vast amounts of documents, some dating back to the 1800s.
The duties of the recording department is set by Colorado statute. They include recording, imaging, indexing of public record documents, and the preservation of recorded documents as well. Our main function is, or the main document type that we see is real estate documentation. We're also in charge of issuing marriage and civil union licenses, recording military discharges, anything that somebody wants as public record, including like subdivision plats and surveys as well. And another duty is that we make official copies of recorded documents for the public as well.
The records go back to when Colorado first became a county.
It's amazing to see documentation from General Palmer, or documents that he actually signed. Just some of the notable people in the community at that time, a long time ago. It's amazing to see it, and it's great to be part of the preservation of those documents.
Currently, the office is working to scan all those documents so they can be available online.
We bought a high-speed microfilm scanner, and we're scanning everything. We're going backwards. We're going from 1995 backwards. So to the day, to the creation. It's over. It's millions upon millions of images. So it's going to take a long time to get that done.
The clerk to the board is a statutory requirement for the county clerk. Currently, 3 employees maintain the official records of meetings, resolutions, ordinances, and other actions of the Board of County Commissioners.
Our department fulfills the statutory requirement of the clerk and recorder to attend all the Board of County Commissioners meetings, to keep a record of the proceedings and the paperwork, and the county seal. The Board of County Commissioners is also the local licensing authority for liquor and medical marijuana licenses, and we do the administrative part of that, processing applications, taking fees, doing the annual renewals and so on.
which consists of about 100 licenses altogether.
We have currently 94 liquor licenses in El Paso County covering the various types of licenses available. The county only has 6 medical marijuana operations licensed.
The clerk to the board is also the administrator of the Board of Equalization.
The Board of Equalization hears property tax appeals from citizens based on the assessor's valuation. Our part in that is to schedule the hearings with referees and process all the paperwork. The number varies greatly per year based on what the assessor's schedule is. In 2011, we had approximately 760 appeals, and the very next year we only had about 112, so it varies greatly.
The finance department within the office collects and distributes sales tax on motor vehicles.
We collect most of our sales tax through our motor vehicle office. So we have a system that keeps track of everything. It's our motor vehicle record system, and there's about 7 jurisdictions that we collect sales tax for. And at the end of the month, the motor vehicle report comes to the accounting office. We reconcile that report, and then we send out all the letters to the treasurer's office for the amounts that we collected for the month. And then the treasurer's office will cut the checks and we mail them off to the correct jurisdiction.
And that adds up to a lot of money.
Last year in 2013, we collected $121 million. We distributed $110 million.
Finally, the clerk's operations department works to make sure all the departments have the equipment, supplies, and operational support they need.
The Operations Department provides the support to our statutory departments for the Clerk and Recorder's Office, which consists of the Motor Vehicle Department, Recording Department, Election Department, and Clerk to the Board. We provide the purchasing of equipment that they support along down to the day-to-day office supplies. We facilitate and move documents and materials, license plates, title work, to each of our 4 office locations on a daily basis. Our IS staff provides the computer support on a daily basis. They do the programming and so forth for elections. Our distribution center staff maintains the voting equipment. They store it and they deploy it at election time. So among all of these functions, with the support that we give to the statutory departments, they are able to service our citizens of El Paso County.
El Paso County has a long tradition of doing more with less.
One of the things that El Paso County is probably well known for is the lower tax burden. If you look at the top 10 counties, I believe, in the state, largest by population, El Paso County is far and away, I think we're number 10 as far as the mill levy, and it might be even less than half of the next lowest county. So we should be very fortunate to live here. I mean, my property taxes right now in my house are about 1/4 of what they were in Dallas 20 years ago.
El Paso County has a mill rate that's less than 8 mills, which means that for a residential home, you're paying $8 for every $1,000 in value after you adjust it for assessment. That means that we have one of the lowest tax rates anywhere in the state of Colorado. As a government, we operate significantly more frugally than other governments along the Front Range.
At the same time, the county strives to give citizens the highest level of service.
El Paso County, by citizens, by number of voters we service, we are the largest in the state of Colorado, but we do it cheaper than anybody else along the Front Range, and it's something that we're very proud of. We acknowledge it sometimes makes our job difficult, but we think it makes us a stronger organization when we have to be mindful of the citizens' dollar and also deliver great customer service.
For more information on the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office, please visit car.elpasoco.com.